Your kids don't need you to be perfect. They need you to be present. I see it every week in my practice. Guys freaking out, trying to be the best dads they can, coming up with the best plan, the best activities, the best vacations, doing everything they can to overperform for their kids so they can have everything that they didn't have. And what they're missing is kids don't want that. They just want you. They want your presence. They want to know you're around, even when you mess up the day before, even when you're having a hard day, even when you've got 1,000 other things to do and you're just tired. When your kid sees you show up, that kid's life gets better over and over and over. In this clip, we were talking to Oscar Pena from the Daughter podcast, and he's got wonderful insights on how to show up in the best way possible at the worst times possible, and why it's so important to be there with your kids even when you're not at your best.
Presence just became what I'm here for. It's evident to me how not present I've been in my daughter's life, particularly my oldest. And so, if I had to say three things, I'm legitimately telling you, you need to figure out how to be strong. And yes, there's a physical aspect to this, but emotional strength, and then also like psychological strength. How are we dealing with problems of our own, and how are our children, our girls, watching us deal with those problems? And then the emotional side of keeping your cool when you realize that your kids are mirrors and they're just showing you your flaws. So that when we say strong, like we want you to be physically strong because that's important, but there's all these other strengths that we need to build on to be better. The mindfulness comes in with that, right? Because my kids have constantly called me out on things that I just say. Like there's no filter. Being mindful of the perception of their eyes to me. How am I being perceived to my daughters? And then not just with them. How do they perceive my relationship with my wife? How do they perceive my relationship with a stranger when I go eat at a restaurant, go to a coffee shop? Like they're watching all this. So the perception is important. So I need to be mindful of all those things. And then finally, presence. Figuring out what presence means to your kid, to your daughter. I always, well, many times I'll say, look at my girls. They're three different heights, right? Like if you were to put their silhouettes are, here, here, and here. And then if you were to have that silhouette, which is black, start filling it in with the presence that I have given them. My daughter, my oldest daughter, would have the same, if not less than my middle daughter, and then my middle daughter would have more. So essentially, that presence would actually be opposite. From the little one, it would be up here. From the middle one, it'd be up here, and for my oldest, it'd be down here.
I mean, that's kind of impossible not to have happen. I mean, in your early career, how many times did you deploy?
A lot of times, but
Yeah.
here's the issue: it's quality versus quantity. And I found with again through this learning process, I found that with my youngest daughter, the quality wasn't there. And it was, I'm trying to learn how to be a new dad. I'm trying to relearn my marriage, really, because my wife and I were married for 8.5 years before we had children. So it was just her and I.
Yeah, and that's a huge shift.
It is huge. And it was something that I probably didn't consider well at the time. It was an extreme shift for her, right? She just created a human, changed her entire life. We decided when she got pregnant that we wanted to not have our kids in daycare. So she decided she would stay home because obviously I'm in the military, right? We don't have that flexibility, if you will. So she went from working all the time and doing things that she was doing to not. So, I mean, her life completely changed. And I'm sure I didn't consider all of those things in that moment. And then to add on to that, the frustration of not knowing how to deal with this little thing that cries and asks you for things, but they can't talk and you can't understand them. And then logic, brother, logic doesn't play a hand, right? Because I'm like, I would tell my wife this, physically would say it probably once a day. She's fed, she's changed, she's slept. Why is she crying? Like the logic doesn't make sense to me, right? So I could tell you in those early stages, my presence was not there. Even when I was home, my brain was like, how do I escape this? Because I don't know how to do this. And I'm a fixer. How do I fix this? You can't. You got to learn it. And that's something that I've now learned to do. Before it was not there.
Well, that's what I see a lot with my military dads is The military teaches you how to be a mentor and a fixer. You know, the military makes leaders, right? And that's great, and it should, and it's wonderful. But so many guys think that they can take that skill set and just plug and play it into parenting. And you can't. It's not the same because there's not a shared mission. In the military, the reason why mentorship works so cleanly and so well is everybody's contributing to the same goal. And in a family, that 2-year-old's goal is to get its immediate need met from you however it can.
I had an interview one time where we were talking about how, especially your first child, really showed you, or at least highlighted, how selfish you are. In the sense of like, I like my things in a certain way, right? Like I like my day to go a certain way. I like my dinner to go a certain way. I like, so you have all these likes that you've gotten accustomed to. Your person. And again, if I add on the marriage, it was just her and I. So we were accustomed to a certain way of living, and all of a sudden this little thing comes in and wrecks all that, and you realize like I really liked this other stuff. That's part of the maturation process. Like you're going to mature through that if you allow yourself to do that.
If you like these conversations, hit the subscribe button so we can keep getting this information out, and it's going to help other people find it as well. Enjoy.